In a previous how-to session, I talked about getting the best bang for your buck when it comes to a cheap cosmetic renovation. And in this how-to session, I'm going to focusing on when should I do a renovation on my investment property. I get asked quite often from people in terms of transitioning their renters, is now a good time to actually, do up the property? Now, the first thing I would normally ask is, have you spoken to your property manager? Because it's an important conversation. Why would you speak to your property manager? You need to understand the level of demand in your marketplace and whether your property is meeting that demand. So if there's really strong pent-up demand and your property is in a neat and tidy order, now it may not necessarily be brand new, let's understand that, but if it's in a neat and tidy order, just get that new tenant in the door and basically you won't miss out on that. What I often see is, people taking their own owner-occupier and how they want to live, their own mindset around that and saying, oh, I need to tidy it up, I couldn't live here. Well, the reality is neat and tidy is all you need. This is a business. We want to make sure that the actual infrastructure, in other words, the fixtures and fittings inside that property have still got a usable life. And we want to use them for the maximum period of that usable life. Because remember, it is a business. Now, if there is a period where, the usable life or the property is beyond tired and is not necessarily neat and tidy, but not to your liking, then that's when we have a conversation with that property manager. Again, and we ask them, what's going to be best? A cosmetic renovation or a structural renovation? Because if we just do a cosmetic renovation, then that's going to be determined by what the rental market is telling us in terms of how much they'll pay, and we might get a little bit more out of them, versus a structural renovation where we could fundamentally change the property in terms of from, say, a 2-bedroom house to a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Now, again, it's all going to come down to the numbers, because in reality, it's no good in taking on a large amount of debt to do that structural renovation if we're not going to improve the overall percentage of the rental yield that we get. Now, that's quite technical, but it basically means is if it's going to cost us more on an ongoing basis compared to the yield that we were generating on that property when it was neat and tidy, why would we spend that money? Continue to get the best maximum yield out of your property when they are in a neat and tidy state. Make sure you continue to do your regular maintenance, but neat and tidy is all you need. And then focus down the track in 3 or 5 years' time from now, you may be in a position to say, well, I will do one, either a cosmetic or a structural renovation if I believe that I can add value and I'm going to get a return on that investment. Thanks for watching.